The film begins in a small village in Ukraine, where a modest house is shown. In this house resides a married couple living a contented life. The man's name is Mykola, and his wife is named Nastia. Nastia is a visual artist who regularly carves various wooden sculptures. Mykola is a teacher who instructs mathematics at a nearby school. He is an excellent teacher, and all of his students are fond of him, except for one, named Avon. Avon is a mischievous child who frequently disturbs Mykola at school. Avon comes from a wealthy family, whereas Mykola is of modest means. Consequently, Avon often mocks Mykola's appearance and attire. Avon seeks to provoke Mykola into reacting angrily so that he can report him and potentially have Mykola dismissed from the school. However, Mykola remains composed. He is unaffected by Avon's words and maintains his happiness. Due to the absence of electronic devices, Mykola is rarely informed about current events. One day, while at school, Mykola hears a news report on television indicating that Russia has attacked Ukraine, resulting in numerous casualties, and that Russia has captured significant territories. That evening, upon returning home, Mykola learns that his wife is pregnant. He is overjoyed at the prospect of becoming a father, and they celebrate this happy news together. The following day, Mykola bids farewell to his wife and rides his bicycle to school. On his way, he observes two soldiers in unfamiliar uniforms smoking cigarettes. The uniforms do not resemble those of Ukrainian soldiers, yet Mykola assumes that perhaps the government has changed the uniform. He does not suspect any danger and proceeds to school. Upon arriving, he finds the school completely empty, which causes him concern. Watching the news, he realizes that the soldiers he saw were, in fact, Russian. Worried for his wife, who is alone at home, he immediately rides back. However, he arrives too late and sees the two Russian soldiers assaulting his wife. Mykola attempts to intervene, but he too is beaten. He pleads, "Please do not strike me, my wife is pregnant," but the soldiers continue their assault. One soldier searches the house, finds nothing of value, becomes enraged, and sets the house on fire. Nastia, in her fury, throws a stone at the soldiers, but she is shot and killed instantly. Mykola is devastated as he watches his wife die. He embraces her and weeps. A few hours later, two Ukrainian soldiers arrive. They are deeply saddened by Nastia's death, console Mykola, and dig a grave for her, instructing Mykola to perform the burial. Following his wife's death, Mykola is utterly broken and now alone. The Russian soldiers have not only killed his wife but have destroyed his home and unborn child. Mykola resolves to seek vengeance. The only way to achieve this is by joining the Ukrainian army. He requests the two soldiers to take him, and they agree. Before leaving, Mykola takes a small wooden sculpture made by his wife as a protective talisman. At the military base, the senior officer initially reacts angrily and refuses to recruit him, suspecting him of being a spy. After hearing Mykola's account of how Russian soldiers brutally killed his wife and unborn child, the officer is moved and agrees to enlist him. The following day, training commences. Being an ordinary man, Mykola faces numerous challenges, having a lifetime of experience in mathematics rather than firearms. During a session where all soldiers assemble their rifles, Mykola is the slowest. The officer doubts his potential, but Mykola remains determined and focuses on training. One evening, Mykola requests to be addressed by the codename Raven. The other soldiers laugh, and the officer explains that codenames are earned through remarkable achievements. Mykola accepts this without complaint and continues rigorous practice late into the night. One day, the senior officer announces a shortage of snipers and requests volunteers. Mykola steps forward, drawing laughter from others. The officer assesses that he is unprepared, as he cannot yet assemble a rifle quickly. Mykola challenges himself, disassembles and reassembles the rifle blindfolded within 20 seconds, completing the task in 18 seconds. Everyone is astonished and applauds. Mykola is accepted into sniper training. Mykola is provided with an older model rifle, whereas others receive modern weapons. The officer informs him that he must prove himself to earn a modern rifle. Mykola accepts the older weapon and continues his training. The officer instructs that a sniper must remain perfectly still and maintain focus on the target. During an exercise, the officer fires near the trainees, and any who move are eliminated from training. When it is Mykola's turn, he remains motionless and passes. In a subsequent exercise, snipers view the target once and then are blindfolded. Mykola slightly misses due to his outdated rifle, yet it is evident that with a modern weapon, he would have succeeded. The next exercise is even more challenging, requiring snipers to shoot targets illuminated by flares in darkness. All attempt the shots but fail. Mykola waits for the next flare, calculates the target distance using his mathematical knowledge, and fires perfectly. The officer and soldiers are astonished, as he is the only one to succeed. Mykola is then granted the codename Raven. Days pass with Mykola training with dedication. Finally, the day arrives for the announcement of training results. The colonel salutes Mykola and informs him that he has successfully passed the examination. Several days later, the colonel visited Mykola once again and instructed him to pack his belongings, as they were to undertake a mission. Intelligence had indicated that several Russian soldiers had seized control of a checkpoint, marking the commencement of the true events. Mikola's team promptly arrived at the location and assumed their positions. Just as they were about to engage the Russian soldiers, a vehicle was observed approaching the checkpoint. The colonel immediately commanded all personnel not to fire. On the other side, the Russian soldiers halted the vehicle and instructed the occupants to disembark. They conducted passport checks and thoroughly inspected the vehicle. Once everything appeared to be in order, the soldiers allowed the occupants to proceed, although they retained possession of their passports. When the individuals requested the return of their passports, the Russian soldiers assaulted them violently. Observing this, the colonel ordered his men to open fire. In a swift and coordinated action, all snipers discharged their weapons, neutralizing their targets. Consequently, their first mission was successfully accomplished. Upon returning to the base, Mikola observed that many of his comrades were absent. Concerned, he inquired, "Where are the rest of my comrades?" He was informed that the remaining soldiers had been deployed on another mission. The following day, Mikola received news that many of his comrades had been killed during that mission, all by a Russian sniper named Sayuri, who was recognized as the most proficient sniper in Russia. Several days later, Mikola embarked on his next mission with his team. Upon reaching the location, they strategically planted mines and assumed their positions. Shortly thereafter, Russian soldiers arrived, including Avon, a boy who had previously harassed Mikola during his school years. Avon had now enlisted in the Russian army. When the colonel issued the order to fire, Mikola hesitated, reluctant to kill a former student. Nevertheless, he suppressed his emotions and detonated the nearby mines. A massive explosion ensued, resulting in the deaths of all Russian soldiers present, including Avon. Once the situation was under control, the colonel confronted Mikola angrily. "What were you thinking when I gave the order to fire?" Mikola responded, "One of my former students was among the Russian soldiers. I did not wish to kill him." The colonel explained that Mikola should not feel sorrow over Avon's death. "Here, he was not your student, he was your adversary. Enlisting in the Russian army was his own decision. There is no need for remorse." After completing the mission, they returned to base. The colonel demonstrated complete confidence in Mikola and spent considerable time with him. One day, the colonel showed Mikola a family photograph and revealed that there were 3 members in his family. He explained, "Neither of my daughters is aware that their father is a soldier. I have told them that I run a business. Even my wife has not disclosed the truth to them." Upon hearing this, Mikola shared his own story, recounting how Russian soldiers had brutally murdered his wife. He became deeply emotional, yet the colonel provided reassurance. The following morning, they departed for an important mission, having received intelligence that a group of Russian soldiers would traverse that route. The colonel and Mikola quickly reached the location and assumed their positions. Shortly thereafter, they observed 2 Russian soldiers awaiting the remainder of their team. Mikola then realized that one of these soldiers was the individual responsible for his wife's death and that he was now directly in his line of sight. Mikola requested permission to engage, but the colonel denied it. Mikola's anger intensified, having awaited this moment for revenge. He requested permission again, and the colonel again refused. Unable to control his emotions, Mikola fired, killing the soldier instantly. Unfortunately, this action exposed their position to the enemy. The colonel shouted, "What have you done?" Worse, the Russian army's most dangerous sniper, Sayuri, was already in position and aware of their location. The colonel attempted to identify Sayuri's position, but before he could, Sayuri executed a headshot, killing the colonel immediately. Mikola realized the gravity of his mistake. The colonel had been killed as a direct result of his error. Russian forces launched heavy gunfire and bombings against Mikola's team. Seeing the worsening situation, Mikola decided to retreat. He carried the colonel's body and escaped from enemy territory, returning to base. Devastated, he blamed himself and vowed to kill Sayuri to avenge the colonel's death. Soon after, Mikola received intel about 2 Russian snipers and set out for his next mission. He eliminated one sniper but was shot in the arm by the second. Despite the injury, he managed to kill the other sniper and retreated to recover. During recovery, an army major contacted Mikola, reporting that the sniper who killed the colonel had been identified. Back at base, the major briefed the team. The sniper's name was Sayuri, Russia's top marksman, known for never missing. He had killed 6 of Ukraine's best snipers and posed a serious threat. The major explained that Sayuri usually worked from a fixed position, posting videos of his kills online to demoralize Ukrainian troops. A tactical plan was made. 2 teams would attack Sayuri's position, one from the front, the other from behind. Mikola would use the distraction to infiltrate and eliminate him. Once ready, the teams moved out. All snipers took their positions. Mikola quietly entered the building, saw 2 Russian soldiers talking, and killed them both before moving forward. He signaled his team, prompting them to open fire and take down more enemies. Realizing his men were silent, Sayuri rushed to the rooftop, finding a dead sniper already there. Surrounded, he called for reinforcements but was told they needed 10 minutes. Returning to his post, Sayuri noticed a small wooden statue on the table, crafted by Mikola's wife. Before he could react, Mikola attacked and fatally stabbed him. The commotion drew another sniper, but Mikola killed him with a grenade. Minutes later, Sayeri's reinforcements arrived, unaware he was dead. When they tried to contact him, Mykola answered instead, warning them and shooting the truck driver. The Russians panicked and fled, only to be ambushed by Ukrainian snipers who wiped them out. Days after the mission, Mykola visited his wife's grave. He felt he had fulfilled his promise, avenging her and the colonel. He swore to serve his country until his final breath before walking away.